Welcome back, fellow scrubs. This is Mark D. Wiz. A little late today, but new day job's kicking my ass. Can't get home on time half the time, so we'll see. Might have to adjust the schedule a little bit to get back to a consistent and predictable schedule, but we'll see. I'm gonna try to work something out this week, see what I can do. So, on with the show! We got actually a bunch of nitty-gritty stuff to go over, and then of course we've got Iori's remaining sprite rips, which I think we should be able to get through today. So we'll see how far we can get. And is that a Santa Pepe emoji? A Santa Pepe. I have not seen that. I've not seen that one yet. It's not Christmassy. Come on, look. Let Thanksgiving be first, all right? It's just let it go. Christmas is coming. Just hold your fucking horses. We're gonna get there. Oh yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, this ain't a video for kids. So get the fuck out of here. If you're under 13-year-old, get the fuck off my channel. Before Copa comes and shoves a $42,000 fine up my ass. God damn, the world's burning this week. What is going on? Everything's going wrong. Anyway, well, fuck it. Here we go. Let's get on with all the fun. All the fun. Look at this. It's a combo. You love combos? There's a combo. Alright. So, what we've been experimenting with, of course, in general, is GGPO, so getting the game in a state that you can save and load states. So, you can save state, oh boy, I walk over here and I load state, and guess what, I'm back over here. It works very, very much like you would expect an emulator save state, or one of them retro consoles that now have that functionality. It literally is basically the same thing. Literally, basically. It's the same concept. Emulators take it to a much higher degree where they're just like, screw it, we're going to back up the entire working RAM of the console and reload it, and that's fine. You can do that. Yeah, this load state's not perfect yet. There's still a lot to do to make the load state work properly. But, we're getting there. We're getting there. So, the thing we've been doing is not just saving and loading states now, but doing a simulated rollback. So what happens, probably a good idea if I explain what the hell rollback is. So if you haven't been here, or you need a refresher, hey, you know what? We'll use the Iori sprites. That'll be a good, it'll be a good stand-in for visuals here. So I'm gonna plunk down some Iori sprites, and we'll use these ones. These ones are good. Let's use these ones, and we'll do a Ryu. I have a couple Ryu sprites. It'll be a good example on how this shit works. Just talking about this a few days ago too. Rollbacks, it's both an easy to understand concept, but it's not an intuitive concept. So yeah, we'll just flip Ryu around. Okay, so you know that frames, games are rendered in frames, or even you could argue frames of animation. So if I pause the game here, and like I hold up, every time I hit this, it's a new frame. Oh, come on, you're not gonna work. Oh, there he is. So each frame, this is a frame. Every time I step it here, it's called frame stepping. 1 frame, 2 frame, 3 frame, 4 frame, etc. Everything is thought of in terms of frames when anything happens. So same thing with like attacks. That's where frame data comes from. How many frames does it take for an attack to start up and hit an opponent? You know, something like that. So take that concept of every state of the game as a frame. So if we start off and Ryu and Iori are sitting next to each other, and Iori's like, "Well, I'm gonna hit him. I'm gonna hit him with my light punch because that's what I want to do." Okay, fine. And this will be a little crude, but should get the point across here. Iori's like, "Fuck you, Ryu. I'm gonna hit you with my light punch." Because that's what Iori does. Okay, oh no, boom. And Ryu got hit by the light punch. Wow. Alright. So this is what player 1 sees. Frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, frame 5. We'll say the attack lasts for... Actually, you know what? Let me do it this way. So he's got a 4-frame jab, meaning that it's going to hit. Here's frame 1, first frame of jab, second frame of jab, third frame of jab, fourth frame of jab hits. Boom. He smacks Ryu right in the throat. Whatever. You get the idea. Alright, but then on the other side, so that's player 1's screen. On player 2's screen, Ryu's like, "Oh, I'm gonna punch Iori because Iori's right here. I'm gonna punch him right in the face." Alright. Ryu attempts to punch Iori right in the face. And he has actually a 3-frame jab, so... Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to actually make Iori's jab a 4-frame, but just for the example here. Boom. And he hits Iori. And so this is player 2's frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, frame 5. Now, as you can see here, there's a desync. Well, player 1 punched Ryu, and player 2, Ryu punched Iori. So what gives? What are we gonna do? Can't have that. The game ran off the rails on two different sets here. So what happens is player 1 GGPO has predicted that player 2 on the player 1 side is just gonna sit there and take it. And then GGPO predicted incorrectly that on player 2's end, Iori was just gonna sit there and take it. So what happens is once player 2's inputs get sent to player 1, and player 1's get sent to player 2, GGPO is like, "Ah, shit, we made a mistake." Alright. Rewind the game back to the point where everything was the same. So here, there's a difference. Here, there's a difference. Here, there's a difference. Here, there's a difference. Alright, the last time that the inputs and everything were in sync were here. We're going to rewind the game back to here. And see, this is during frame 6. So it's before frame 6 even started. Let me draw that. So we've been processing the game. All of a sudden, frame 6 hits. And oh shit, we got a desync. Well, what happens? It goes back. It says, okay, frame 1 was the last time everything was the same. And so now we're gonna give player 1 player 2's inputs, which will cause Ryu to throw a jab up here. And then player 2's inputs, player 1's inputs on player 2's timeline will cause Iori to throw out his jab. Alright, so what happens? Frame 1 is the same. We go back to frame 1. The game is rewound at this point. We're supposed to be on frame 6. We're supposed to be over here. But the game has rewound back to frame 1. So this is the new frame 1. In fact, let me do that a different color. Hopefully it's a little less confusing. Hopefully that... Oh, the god, that's an awful color. Alright. Can we see that? Yeah, that comes out on stream, okay. So this is the new frame 1. So what happens in frame 2? Well, they're both gonna attack. Because the inputs that came in, the corrected inputs say, oh, well, they're both attacking. Okay. And then, so frame 3, in the corrected timeline, and this is all happening behind the scenes. This is all happening in the span of 1 frame. The game has to go back here, and then it's got to fast forward as quickly as it can to get back to normal time. So this is fast forward frame 3. Well, now what's going to happen? Ryu's going to hit first, because his jab is quicker. So that's fast forward frame 4. And Ryu is still hitting Iori in frame 5 because, you know, there's hit stop and all that to contend with. It's an awful 5. Here, we'll roll back to 5. There you go. Roll back to 5 and redo it. So now on frame 6, in the good timeline, the correct timeline, yeah, in all likelihood, Ryu is still punching Iori in the face because of hit stop. So that's what happens. Each player is going along their own timeline until GGPO says, oh, I got a bunch of inputs for you. Double check what you got. And it's like, oh, shit, we got a problem. And so it literally rewinds time and fast forwards. You don't see this happening. This all takes place. Oh, that was our magic window. It all takes place in 1 frame, just like that. Boom. Of course, he's not really moving, so you can hardly tell. Boom. And that time, the entire rollback happens in that 1 frame of movement. So you never see this happening. It does it automatically. So you're actually, in this scenario, it's actually pretty bad because that's quite a big gap to roll back, which rollbacking usually happens. Rolling back usually happens quicker. Or rather more frequent than this, maybe 1 to 2 frames at a time, maybe 3 frames. It rarely goes that long, but this was a good way to give an idea of how this works. So all of a sudden, boom, okay, and then so it rolls back to 5. And actually what I should do is then say that on both sides now, the timeline resumes back up here on each side. So this rollback happens on both ends, player 1 and player 2. And then it's back to business as usual, and frame 6 processes with the new timeline correction. So that's the quick and dirty rollback explanation. So basically, what we have to do, we have to load the state that we want to happen, and then have a fast forward happen, so that it will progress the game multiple times without ever drawing to the screen, so that we're back here. It's like a rubber band effect. You roll back, you fast forward, back to normal time. So as far as the players are concerned, time is not delayed, time is not stopped, time is not slowed. Everything is still progressing normally. You don't have any stutter, you don't have any lag. Time just keeps on marching completely. There's no stopping it. So the game just plays at normal speed no matter what. Unless you hit a complete disconnect or a huge giant lag spike, and then eventually it's going to have to compensate with some huge ass rollback, or it's going to have to wait. But that's, an abnormal situation to run into. But under normal circumstances, this is how it works. So to do the rollback test, what I did is I said, we're going to simplify it. So we're going to say we're going to save a state. Say, that. So if we load the state, it saved a little late. We'll do it there. There you go. It's a little hard. Let me, it lags in the editor, so it looks a little, it updates really laggy. So what I'm going to do is I got the game paused, and I'm going to force it to load. And boom, there we go. So then the camera adjusts. Oh, and Terry's right there. He's just going to hit him right in the face. But as you can see, it starts in that one. He starts in that one pose. So there. So he starts in this pose. And then he goes forward and he hits. So the rollback test is going to load that same state. However, when it does load it, it's going to process 10 frames into the future. So you'll notice here, debug the rollback, it's going to load the state and it's going to fast forward all in the span of 1 frame. So I click that, I hit this, and you should see him, he's here now. He's not back over here. He's 10 frames forward from where the load state happened. And he immediately punches Ryu in the face. So we have that at the very basics working. Now it doesn't really work completely yet. There's a lot of stuff that the loading state still has to do that it doesn't. And there's a lot of stuff that the rollback has to do that apparently Unity doesn't want to do, so I've got to figure a way around that. So I will, or not save as, to show this a little bit better. Wow, I got really pissed off by just saving. Alright, whatever. I think it's just a GUI thing. So I'm going to save it, and I'm actually going to build it. Because it runs at full speed when you do a release build. So let's give that a second to build up. And I can show you a better example of that. I should have remembered that the editor is a little chunky with that. It's because the editor runs all these debugging things and profiling, and profiling is like taking statistics of the program to see how fast is it running, where are the spots that it's slowing down, and when it hooks into the program to take those measurements, it dramatically slows the game down. It's really helpful to have all those tools, but when you're testing it, it's not too great. Okay, it has built. Damn it! Come here. And it's probably going to be shattering some ears, so we're gonna mute it. Here we are. I can full screen it, right? Maybe. There we go. Look at that, beautiful full screen. I've worked hard on that full screen code. You better appreciate it. I cut you out of frame of input lag doing that. You can thank me later. Alright. So we'll do the same example, just to be consistent here. And we'll go to the stage. Okay. So, woo! Oh, that's chunky. That's chunky. What's going on? Why is it all pissed off? Why is it all pissed off? Thanks, Sir Dev. I think it's better now. It didn't like being full screen for some reason there. Okay, it looks like it's fine. Alright, so... Damn it! Buster Woof, you bastard. Okay, boom. So, you can see the saving and loading works a hell of a lot better. It's really boom, 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 boom. This is what happens when you only have half this game state reloading. you get all sorts of crazy bullshit. All right. Boom, 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 boom. But see, you can reload the state. So, but if I reload with a, if I reload with the fast forward, you see he's already in Ryu's face automatically because it's stepped forward. But if I reload from here, he's from that point. But if I reload with the fast forward, he's already advanced 10 frames into the future. And like I said, it's not perfect yet. Machine Gun Knuckle. It's not perfect yet. But it shows that we at least have the capability to force updates out of normal time. And that's exactly what we need in order to do that rollback. That's literally this process of fast forwarding. Going from frame 6 and saying, oh shit, go back to frame 1, process 2, 3, 4, 5, and then process frame 6 on normal time. That's what's going on here. It's the very basics. The very basic. We call it a, shit, what the hell's the word for it? Proof of concept. In development, it's called a proof of concept. It says, oh, hey, we made it work. It's not pretty, and it's not perfect, but we proved that it works. So now we can take that concept and write an intelligent implementation of that. So we can go back and we can say, hey, alright, this worked, this didn't. Let's clean up the code. Let's take this thing, we'll recode it, make it cleaner, nicer, faster, more efficient, and actually put it into the game. So I have started that process on it. And so it kind of works. It's not too bad. Oh. Let's see. What happened? It's not too bad. It's a good start. Obviously it looks janky. You know, it just is what it is. But it's a good start. Machine Gun Knuckle. Get fucked! Eat it, Ryu! The good news is, too, let's see. And you can actually do this with the build you guys have. There's a player log, so this actually logs events in the game. And right now, it doesn't tell too much in the release build, but right now, it's spitting out information about how long it takes to save a state. So let's do that. Let's save a state here. Yeah, hold on. Let me use Programmer's Notepad, because it's a great tool. Programmer's Notepad 2, because it's version 2. As if it changes, if it notices that the file changes, it'll be like, hey, file changed, do you want to reload? Which is really helpful. So we went and we saved that state, right? So I programmed it to pop out a state save completed, and it completed in so much time it didn't even register the time. So that's good. That means it's really fast. Save state is really fast. So we do a load state, and here we go. Yeah, object or file is modified. Do you want to roll changes? Hell yeah, I do. Okay. Test load key pressed. Load state completed in that's hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. So 1.02 milliseconds. That's fast. That's good. And it's unfortunately it's going to get slower the more things I attach to the system, but it being at this speed already is pretty good. That's good. That's really good. Okay, so what happens when we load with the well, and I'll do a move again so you can see. So we'll take a save state there. Alright, so the normal load state is this. And we'll verify again. Now the load times, oh shit, I told it not to, not to reload. Do that again. The load times do vary, because obviously like Windows is doing random shit at any given moment. So you'll see it. So that one was 1 millisecond. This one was 0.9 milliseconds to load the state. and all that. So we did the load state. We're going to load state with the rollback test. And we'll see what it says. So here, test rollback, key press. The load state completed in 0.9 milliseconds. Very fast, very good. Let's see. So this is pushing out the event that, hey, we loaded the state, so anything listening can do their stuff. And now here, explicit fixed update. That's our fast forward. 0.9 milliseconds, 0.9 milliseconds, 0.9 milliseconds. No time register. It means it was too fast to even count. No time register. 0.9, 0.9, 0.9, 0.9. Too fast to register. Now the total, because it did 10 updates, not just 6. Yeah, now that's fast, brother. Yeah. The total, it did 10 updates. So it loaded state and it processed 10 frames in 7.9 milliseconds. Which is not bad. A normal frame clocks in at 16 milliseconds. Not that it takes 16 milliseconds to process one frame and render it, though it can take that long, depending on what you're doing. It's that is one frame out of 60 in a second. So at 60 frames per second, each frame is 16.4 milliseconds or something like that. There's some decimal involved, but it's basically 16. So 16 milliseconds. So it's about half a frame to load the state and to catch up to it. And that's with 10 updates. That's not 5 updates or 3 updates. That's 10 updates. That's not bad. It's pretty good. Now, not everything's attached to the system, so again, it will get a little slower, and then I have to optimize it so it'll get quick again. But it's not bad for this test. It's actually I'm pretty happy with the results. Put it that way. So, yeah, that whole process, those 10 updates, 7 milliseconds, or 7.9 milliseconds. We'll say it's 8. 8 milliseconds plus the time to load the state, which was 0.9, so 9 milliseconds. A little less than 9 milliseconds in total for the entire rollback. Then the frame itself has to process, which, if this is any judge, is not very much. So it's like a millisecond, maybe a little more because it's doing a little bit more work to update the backgrounds and stuff. But that's it. And then so the game just rolls on, keeps on chugging. Or chugging. Keeps on trucking, I should say. We don't want the chugs. We don't want the game to chug. Chug bad. Chug bad, truck good. Let that thing fly. So that was what I worked on the weekend until I got sick again. So that was that. It was a very successful test, and I was very happy with the results of that. There's a long way to go. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot left to do. Put it on the Cybertruck. Oh my god! I had no idea, dude. The memes were flying around before I even heard what it was about, and I'm like, I don't get it. Why are people like going apeshit about this low-poly like 3D model of this like ugly ass car? And then later I'm like, oh my god, it's Tesla's new Cybertruck. Dude, that thing was memed to hell and back. For hours I had no idea what the hell anybody was talking about. I just couldn't. I couldn't. It was too much. So one thing I did learn about the rollback here is let's see. Where's the rollback code now? I think it's somewhere here. Did I put it in the save state? I might have put it in the save state. No, maybe not. Shit, now where did I put that? Alright, you know what I can do? I'll just grab it out of here. Cybertruck with the free publicity strats. Yeah, seriously. Everybody knows what it is now. Seriously, everybody knows now. They meme the fuck out of it. It was that 4D chess move. Elon, you smart son of a bitch. Alright, let's see. Death Fighter controller. Hit system controller. I think this is it. Yeah, I call it hyper update. I don't know. I was thinking I got a super animation controller. I've got the input module. So I use the code that Gallant Games made, called In Control, and I called mine like In Control Plus or something. And so this one I called Hyper Update. I don't know, I was just making up fucked up names for no reason. Look, I'm the programmer. I can name it whatever the fuck I want. So screw you. I could name it Balls Update if I want to. As long as I spell it right and consistent, the program doesn't care. You gotta live with it. Alright, so this is explicit update. It goes through its whole thing. It's got to search the hierarchy, and what I mean by that is you can actually get a list. Pause it. You can actually get a list of all this stuff. So like Terry, where he's got a shadow and a sprite, and the sprite's got multiple components and all that shit. You can search through this from top to bottom. It actually goes between scenes, so there's a few scenes here. The fight scene, the stage is its own scene. And then the Don't Destroy Unload is its own scene. So you can actually search through that, which I had to learn. It was something new to me. I was fairly certain it could be done, but I wasn't sure how. So when I tell it to run an explicit loop, I tell how many loop count I want, so how many updates to force. And this is the debug of checking the time on it. So I go to the physics and I tell it the auto simulation to turn off, because it's going to simulate the physics before it does every frame of a forced update. And so what this does is it checks the hitboxes and it gathers data around that. Now that's part of the problem, and I'll get to that in a minute. So every time you do an explicit update, it goes through, it checks every scene. So it checks how many scenes there are. We grab the scene, we get a list of the objects in the scene. So remember, the scene is like fight, and we get the list of objects, match controller, blah 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 blah. And then for every object, root objects. So root objects are ones that are not inside. So like these here, these are not root objects because they're inside of another object. So root objects are not inside other objects. It checks each one of those, and then for every one of those it says, hey, let's run your update. And so it grabs a list of everything that's attached with this hyper update interface, and it runs it. Yeah, it goes through the array of the interfaces, and it says explicit fixed update. And then whoever implements this interface has to say what this does. And for the most part, it's going to run fixed update. Or it's going to run fixed update and another thing, or precursor and then fixed update. Whatever way you go about it, it's got to run the update functions. With typo. Of course there is. And then it's got to search all the sub objects, so what we call child objects. So the object inside an object is called child object. We get a list of those. And then we run the same thing on it, and it goes and it updates its shit, and it says, do you have any child objects? And so it will, of course it's going to compile now, it will search down through all of these. I'm going to wait for it here. Okay, there we go. and it'll say, okay, cool, camera and HUD, do force your update. Okay, cool. You got any children? Yeah, we got main camera. Okay, force your update. Well, who's next? Pause menu. All right, force your update. You got children? Yeah, you got children. All right, cursor, do your shit. You got children? Yeah, you got children. All right, we're gonna do that. You don't got any children. Next guy here. Yeah, right brace. Yeah, you don't got any children. All right, cool. Then we're gonna go on. We're gonna pop back up. We ran out of children, so we're gonna pop back up. Go to the next one. Run your shit. How about your children? You got a child. Here, boom. Do that one. No more children. All right, let's pop back up. Who's next? Yeah, and it goes in that sort of order down the hierarchy, so it expands out each one until it can't anymore. Then it pops back up and resumes where it left off, and so on and so forth. So it leeches down through the entire hierarchy to make sure that it captures everything. And that process I thought was going to be super slow. I was like, there's no way that shit's gonna be fast. We're in trouble here. But as you saw, to search for the entire hierarchy and call every one of these things and say, hey, do an update, it was like 0.9 milliseconds. Like, holy crap. And that was really fast. That was a lot faster, because you gotta search the hierarchy every time. You can't just assume that it's gonna stay the same. What if something gets created? Or something gets deleted, and now the entire structure of the hierarchy is completely different. You can't just update everything's in the same order. Everything in the same order over and over and over again. You can't do that. If something changes, and you update something out of order, well, now you just screwed up the timeline on your rollback, and bad things are gonna happen. And when the rollback's complete, player 2 and player 1 may not be in the same spot like they're supposed to be. Something may have gone awry. So you can't do that shit. You have to do it every time. And that's why I was thinking, like, oh man, it's got to do that 10 times? It's going to be slow as shit. But no, it was remarkably not too bad. And that's basically it. You just search through. You look for the interface. Because the get component can find a subcomponent. Like here, fighter controller. It inherits this interface. It's not fighter controller, it's this interface, but it's a part of fighter controller. But Unity knows enough to figure that out. And wherever the hell it is here. And so you can just search this and it will pick up all the stuff that uses that interface, which is really handy. And then you just run the update on all of them. And move on, search for your children. Search for your lost children. The ones that you still have at home. Not the ones that went to live with Grandpa. So yeah, that's pretty much it. God bless CPU speed. Yeah, really. But here's like I said, the fear is that the more you attach to it, the more that gets saved and loaded on a save state. And the more things get attached to the Force update, it's gonna slow down. Now there's things that we can do to improve the speed after that. We can optimize certain things, and that's actually what I'm doing currently. Or, well, I guess planning to do? Like, I've looked at it, but I haven't actually done it yet. The fighter controller itself. The reason why when we do a save state and a load state, and Ryu sometimes glitches out, like if he's in midair and I do a load state, he'll just like stand in midair. Is because all of his data is not being backed up and restored. The main fighter controller that holds the core coding for how the fighters behave when they're hit, when they jump, all that stuff, that's not getting backed up yet. And part of the reason is because I want to go through all of this gigantic monster ass 9,148 lines of code, and I want to optimize it first before I end up hooking it into the save state system. Because every time you add something, once it's hooked into the save state system, you've got to change the way it saves and loads, and it's just going to slow the whole process down to do all this work after it's been hooked up. I'm not going to bother to take twice as long, 3 times as long to get it all done. So I want to do it first, make sure it works, and then just bang out the save state functionality in this component. And that will be the majority of the work. And from there, it's just like resetting the timer and the match conditions. And if there was a KO, undo the KO. or if like there's a screen flash because something hit, to undo that, you know, shit like that. So we'll see how that works. It should work pretty decently so far that I've seen. And there's a whole other thing about making the game deterministic, which some stuff we've done, some stuff we haven't. That's, 9K lines of code in the same file feels bad, man. It's not so bad because I use the regions that help me organize it. Yeah, you could separate some of the stuff. I've actually separated some stuff out already, and it's still this big. But the health and stats, this has got pretty much removed. They're still in the file, but they're subclasses. But these are going to get turned into scriptable objects to handle max meter stats and shit like that. There's no reason it has to be tied up here. And that's actually what I was doing. Now I don't know where the hell it is. I think it's in here. Yeah. So I was just doing a new thing where I can set the health and max health into the scriptable object and then just attach it to the player. And then I can share that scriptable object with like the life bar and stuff, so it can easily read all the how do I want to say? It can read the player's life without having to like search it out or get told what it was. I just attach that one scriptable object and it's got access to all that now. That's great. So it really starts at line 283. That doesn't really save too much. But like, you know, the hyper updates in here, and I just collapse everything into regions. So anything that's static goes into here. Keep track of all fighters. It's pretty well organized for what it is. Hitbox data collection, everything's in here. So if I need to look at the functions, they're all here. They've all got relatively decent names. Specific fighter behavior. Because they use the British spelling. That's because Unity does that. It's mono behavior. Behavior. Extend pinky while programming. And it's just, you know, the event system. Actually, yeah, that's actually pretty self-contained. That's a shared event. This is actually last time when I showed now when you knock someone down, you can make NPCs react to it. That's actually what this is. The pooled objects, it can find all the pooled objects that are referenced in here within reason and preload them when the object starts. But everything's pretty well focused. That means like when two fighters face each other, they're always like trying to face the direction of the opponent. That's what this is. So if this is set to a transform, which is a Unity component, this is basically a coordinate. It'll try to focus on that. Health and stats. Like, they're already in their own object like I showed, but now I want to make them scriptable objects so they can be shared with other stuff. Stun. Like, it's all organized. So it's not too hard to find what you're looking for. Spawning. So spawning pulled objects to the ground. Spawning projectiles. So it's 9,000 lines, but you know, if you know what you're looking for, you can find the category. In Visual Studio, a lot of people don't know this, but you hold Control M and then O. So Control M and then Control O. It collapses all of these. So if I open a bunch of these, I was like, oh my god, there's a million fucking things open. I can't find anything. I gotta scroll for an hour to find anything. Just Control M-O. Oh, as I fuck it all up. Control M-O, and it collapses everything into these regions. Yeah, you have to define the region. You gotta say region and then what the name is, and then you can close it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm looking for sound effects, right? Okay, I'm looking at sound effects. The attack whiff's not working right. Alright, cool. Or I could say, I'm looking for the code that processes an attack hit. Okay. It's actually not in attacks. It's in hit system. And then I have subcategories here. So pre-hit, dealt hit, take grab, take counter, take attack hit. That's what I'm looking for. Cool. Apply attack hit. Alright, cool. That's what I'm looking for. And that's how I organize things. And then there's I use regions inside functions too. Or, well, methods. I don't want to get nitty gritty about it. Determine if the attack's been blocked or guard broken. Boom, there it is. And so when I'm done with it, I just close it up, apply the damage. That's how I organize it. So there's a little method to the madness. It gets really fucking complicated really quick. Fighting games are not like, you're like, oh, it's just two dudes on a stage. Hell, you don't even have a level. It's gonna be easy right now. It ain't easy. Not to do it right, at least. I mean, you can always just throw two objects in there that can hit each other, but getting it to feel good and getting it to be consistent and timing based, yeah, good luck. Is what we started in 2017 in October. We got 3 characters. Hey, we got half the. Okay, we got 10% of GGPO in. All right, so 3 years ain't bad. We almost got good net play. Give me a break. So that's a little insight into that, I guess. Alright, let's see. Oh, we still got some time left. So let's get into Iori sprites. Did our lovely little timeline. Let's get into Iori sprites. Finish this out if we can. And we got a little shorter block of time today. But we don't have too much left. So let's... creating good action is hardly ever easy. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Do you feel that Unity is well suited for fighting games? Yes and no. It's a hard question to answer. As we're currently going through and getting GGPO into the game, my opinion on that has been less positive. And I hate to say that, but so like determinism. We'll have to go through this again. Determinism in a fighting game, basically the game being deterministic means that given a set of inputs, essentially, the game will play the same way every time. So if you were to record the inputs and then play back the inputs into the game should do the same thing every time consistently without any deviation, 100% the same. And you're thinking, oh, that sounds like a replay function. Yes, it does. So when fighting games when they do a replay, they just record the input that the characters had. And they replay that input when you play the replay. All it's really doing is how do I put this? It's loading the match as normal, but instead of you being in control, it just feeds in the inputs that it recorded during the match when it stored it in the replay. And so the match code, everything is functioning normally. It's just you're not in control. The computer's just shoving the recording into the input buffer as it goes. So you have to make sure that everything in the game is completely 100% consistent, so that when you run that replay, it really is a replay. There's no deviation, there's no glitch that desyncs it. Everything, every single frame needs to happen exactly how it happened in the original match, the first one that it recorded from, the one that was actually played by people and or a person in a computer. Being deterministic is very important for netplay because of the going back in time and reloading and doing the fast forwards, the rollbacks. The inputs, GGPO says, oh shit, the inputs were wrong, here's the right inputs, go back 5 frames, stuff the real inputs into your buffer, and then update, fast forward until current time. But if your game can't do that reliably, you're going to end up still with a desync between player 1 and player 2 because, oh, well, You know, sometimes the game just adds an extra pixel to Iori's movement. Don't know why, it just does it. Okay, well now, that can mean that Iori's attack whiffed. Even something as small as that can cause an attack to whiff, or an attack to hit that shouldn't have hit. And now, you're desynced. Now, player 2 got hit on one side, and player 1... on player 1's side, he didn't get hit. But on player 2's side, player 2 got hit. Okay. Well, now GGPO thinks that everything's hunky-dory. And it's like, okay, cool. That's a new spot that we agree that the games are synced at. No, but they're not synced because it's not deterministic. There's some variant there. And you're thinking, oh, okay, well that's a glitch or whatever, right? Kind of. Here's the dirty secret, and I can't explain exactly why this is, but when you do floating point math, so when you make a float, which do we have? I want a good example here. Do we have a good example? Let's go back to the hit system. And we'll say... Shit, take attack hit. I'm pretty sure there's something in here with floats. It will... Nope. Hit stop? No? Oh my god, I was sure there was something in here. Oh yeah, right here. Multiplication. So this is a float. So it's called floating point. And in layman terms, basically a float is a number with a decimal. So, let's see, do we still have programmers? No, we don't have programmers up that open. Shit! I just opened another copy of Paint. Paint Shop Pro. Dude. Programmers, notepad. Okay. You go away. Okay, a float is like 1.56. It's got a decimal. That's a float. An integer is like a whole number, like 405, but it has no decimal. When you do multiplication, division, or whatever with a floating point, for some reason it's not accurate. So you say 2 divided by 1 equals 0.5, right? You could do that 100 times and it comes out 0.5, but randomly, 2 divided by 1 is 0.499999999. Whoops. Why does it do that? Couldn't fucking tell you. But it does that. Because floating point math is not accurate. Unity is full of floating point math. So the more that I'm looking into it, I'm like, oh, we have to eliminate floating point math at all costs. And you can use fixed point decimals, and I couldn't exactly explain the difference to you. I just know that fixed point doesn't have this problem, and I'm pretty positive, although I don't know for sure, I'm pretty positive you take a performance hit for doing that. If I had to guess, the only reason on God's green earth that anybody would create a computer function that did math incorrectly is if it was hella faster than doing it the right way. And it's good enough. Fuck it. It's close enough. For the most part, it's not going to destroy anything. And, you know, it just goes on its way. That's the only thing. I'm not going to say that that's really what it is, but if I had to take a guess, that's most likely what it is. And it's close enough, but it's 10 times faster. Fuck it. Just float it. Yeah, just float it. Now, fixed point math will come out 0.5 every time. It's accurate to use fixed point. And I think on the back end, what it's doing is it's just storing like the 405. Say if it's 405.56, I think it's storing 2 ints of 405 and 56. And then it's using those two values together, and then it does all of its operations in whole numbers. And then at the end, like if you ask for a float, it will give you this as a single value. But I think they're just storing it as 2 ints and doing math that way, which is more consistent. So integers don't have the same problems. When integers get converted to floats, then you have a problem. So you think it was a one-way street. As soon as something gets turned into a float, you can't trust it anymore. You have no idea if something went wrong. There's no way to tell that something went wrong. Unless you already know the answer, in which case you didn't need to do the calculation to begin with, so how would you be able to tell? So, the simple answer that I've been getting is, oh, well, just use fixed point math for all of your stuff and you'll be fine. Alright, that's great. Except Unity doesn't use fixed point math. Like, you can use it in your script. I could build fixed point math into my script. But what the hell do you do when you want to get the location of an object? You use transform. Well, guess what? Transform's going to give you a float. It's going to take the local position and do all this calculation and scaling and all this bullshit and send you a float. And guess what? It's not accurate all the time. Sometimes it fucks up. So what do you do? What the fuck do you do? You have to try to keep your data as pristine as possible, but even one element of having floating point math can fuck the whole thing up eventually. It gives you one little pixel off, and all of a sudden something whiffs when it shouldn't, or hits when it shouldn't, and that's not a reliable replay. So that's a really tough question to answer right now. I'm starting to get really worried about it. The fact that we may not be able to control everything as pristinely as we need to in order to make this reliable. And the other problem is, you say, like, oh, I'm going to make an Android port. Okay, well, the Android platform, the processors, the motherboards, all that stuff, they do floating point math different. So you can say, oh, well, if it's always going to error or be inaccurate to a certain degree, we can sort of compensate for that, right? No, because when you port it to a phone, well, now instead of, 4.999 whatever, now it's that. Randomly. Whoops. What the fuck are you gonna do? You don't know. It changes all the time. Different processors will give you different results in floating point math. Different operating systems on top of different processors will give you different floating point math. You just can't compensate for it. You just can't fix it. You have to use, as far as I understand, you have to use fixed point math to make sure that shit's consistent. If you use floating point math, you're at the whim of the operating system, multiplied by the inconsistency of any layer in between, plus the processor. It's ridiculous. You cannot work with it. So if you want crossplay between PS4 and PC, well, guess what? Your PS4's floating point errors are going to be different than the PC's floating point errors. And hell, PC to PC is going to be different, and the Android phone's going to be way different. You can't do that. You can't just ignore it and let it go. So, yeah. If you're using something that's deterministic, you need GGPO. If you're using GGPO, it has to be deterministic. Not all games are like that. Server-based games don't need to worry about that, because all the processing's done on the server, and you just get sent the result. But GGPO demands that the game itself has to run consistently on every platform. The speed, everything, all the math has to be consistent every time you run it. So, the question, going back to the question, do you feel that Unity is well suited for fighting games? Maybe. I don't know anymore. I'm looking at this like, how the hell are we going to deal with this? If GGPO needs that level of precision, Unity is not built for that level of precision. It literally is not built for that. I'm going to have to go back and redo the collision system. I had to make my own. Because I can use Unity's, but it's got floating point errors. Some things may just not hit when they're supposed to. And yeah, that's bad. That's bad. It's really bad. Actually, going back to what I was talking about with the hyper update, when this, you turn auto simulation off and you start doing manual simulations on the physics system, yeah, guess what? It doesn't decide to tell you what happened until the next time fixed update runs. So it'll compile every single collision that runs. We did 10 frames. It'll compile 10 frames worth of collision. And then on the next time that fixed update runs on normal schedule, it'll be like, oh, by the way, we've got like 120 fucking collisions to process. Sorry, didn't tell you about it when it happened, but I saved it for you. Have fun with that. So we can't use Unity physics anymore. Scratch that off the list. You know, so the list of things that Unity is helping with is getting really short, to say the least. It's like, oh, it does animation for you. Oh, it does graphics and sound and does physics for you. Okay, well, we can't use the physics. Cross that off the list. The animation, probably not deterministic. We're going to have to figure out a way to get around that, so maybe we'll have to cross the animation functions off the list. The visuals, fine, sure. Sound, fine, should be alright. Unity's timekeeping. Uses floats, not reliable. Cross that off the list. You see what I mean? Like, every time I'm looking at it, and I'm like, why are we using Unity if we're going to have to rebuild everything anyway? Now, Unity does have a lot of other benefits, because you can make ports for Android, or even for consoles if you have the license for it. And it just kind of works. It just works. Cool. Alright. So for most games, yeah, it's really good. But if you really need a consistent experience out of it, you can get it like Unity bot is helping. Yeah. If it's a one-player, how do I want to say this? If only one instance of the game has to run, that's fine. It's great. We've been using it this entire time, and it's been a huge help and a huge time saver to get that far. But now when GGPO's like, no, you got to make sure this shit's 100% consistent. I'm like, oh, that seems pretty consistent already. And I start looking into it. I'm like, oh, this is bad. Oh, this is really bad. This is not good at all. What do you do? What do you do? If you can't trust what Unity is doing, then how can you let that roll when you're trying to do something like GGPO? I'm not saying it's impossible to deal with. Punch Planet, an indie fighting game. I'll Google it. I'll Google this off screen, because who knows? Who knows what the hell's gonna happen? Punch Planet. Here we go. This shit was at Evo. That's actually pretty impressive. All right, we'll bring that one up. Turn the volume off. All right, so this is Punch Planet. Punch Planet's made in Unity, as far as I'm aware. They implemented GGPO. So, I mean, logically, you would say, well, it's in Unity. They made it in Unity, and they implemented GGPO, so somehow they were able to make the Unity game deterministic. So that it functions online. And everything's great, right? I mean, that's the presumption. That's what they're selling you. There's no reason to necessarily disbelieve it. So, sure, how did they do it then? They must have figured some way out. Dude, I love how the dude on the right looks like some DBZ character. Dude, doesn't he? Who the fuck? He looks like Dodoria, but purple. Doesn't he? He looks like a buff-ass Dodoria. Dodoria went on the fucking Atkins diet. Look at him. That's pretty cool, actually. But yeah, they must have figured it out somehow. So I won't say that it can't be done. I just don't know how they did it. And that's part of the reason to do, projects like this, is to figure it out. That's kind of the fun part. I mean, it can be frustrating, but it's also fun too. Feels a bit like a DC villain. Yeah. he looks like Lobo fused with Dodoria. I swear to God, look at him. He's Lobo fused with Dodoria. It's pretty funny. Please tell me you know who Lobo is. Lobororia. Loboria. Yeah, there you go. Loboria. I know Larry knows who Lobo is. I hope everybody else does. DC villain. Is he the one who looks like the biker dude? Get the face paint on. He's just a really strong space biker. But yeah. So anyway, they figured it out, presumably. So there's got to be a way to do it, and I just got to figure it out. Yeah, Bug Paint looks pretty cool. I'm lukewarm on the art style, but the game itself looks pretty cool. Like the gameplay and all that. So that's part of it. I just got to figure it out, and that's both parts fun and frustrating at the same time. So that's the path that I have chosen. So when I do figure out what the hell is going on, I'll try to explain it if I can. I know sometimes I could be like, oh, I could do a 3-hour seminar on this one part of the program. And it would take forever to explain it, and I'm horrible at explaining things, so it probably wouldn't help anybody anyway. But if I can condense it down and explain it, I definitely will, once I can figure out what to do. I mean, you can do a lot with just making custom versions of scripts. So you can say, oh, I want to make a deterministic transform. So I don't want to use Unity's transform. I'm going to use my own version of transform. And then whenever I need to update Unity's built-in transform, I'll just push that fixed point data, transform it into a floating point, and hand it off to Unity to update, graphics and whatever. But all my physics are going to reference my fixed point transform component. It'll be programmed to look for that and not Unity's. So that's an easy way, or an easy example of like some of the stuff you can do. And that's great, but what do you do for the animator? What do you do? How do you fix that? Unity animates internally. Does that mean you can't use Unity as animation? You gotta write your own animation engine? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. Hello? Welcome to Game Dev Scrubs! May I take your order? Hello?
We're pretending it's public access. It's someone calling to say penis and titties.
That's awful.
That's what they did in the days before there was a delay. You can cut it.
Oh, you mean like on the public access radio?
Yeah, public
Yeah.
access television. People would call in and they'd be like, fuck.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
That's awful. So I guess, I guess that makes sense. They didn't have the equipment to delay the. Well, it's like this. Like I don't delay the thing here. If someone says fuck out of nowhere, it's just going through. It's through the airwaves. That's it. That's funny. People used to call and do that. People are such assholes. Humanity's history has long been filled with assholians. But yeah, so that's one example. You could say, oh, okay. You just reference your own programmed transform component. It acts like a replacement. And so you'll deal with that in every situation that you can. Yeah, caller here, your channel. Yeah. Well, thank you, caller. That's the nicest thing anybody's ever said about my channel. So, I don't know. I gotta figure it out one way or another. And when I do, I'll let you guys know what I come up with. But I assume most of it's going to be, oh, we're just gonna make our own component for that. And whenever we need to do a reliable calculation, we have to look for that component instead of the Unity one and try it. We'll see. I really don't know how this is going to shake out. I might have to redo the entire animation system. I may have to redo the entire hitbox system. I already have to redo the entire collision system. Who knows what I'm going to have to do next. So this could be a very long process. Now that all my time is getting absorbed by a soul-crushing day job. My new day job is it's got a 2-hour commute and it's killing me. Can't get back on time for shit. So we'll see. But I'll keep crawling if I have to. Get this shit done. Alright, so Iori sprites. Unless there's other questions. I don't care. I can answer questions the whole time. I don't give a shit. But failing that, yeah, Prepare to Die edition. Yeah, day job. Prepare to Die. I feel like death. I made myself sick last week. I'm like, oh, I don't need sleep. Fuck that. I'm gonna get shit done. Yeah, well, that didn't last. Tanked out 2 streams and me the entire weekend. I don't have the level of health I used to. It's quite annoying. Power max activation, I'll leave that for later, that's fine. I'm not too concerned with that. Oh, it's an easy one. Guard. Where's the guard sprite? There he is. Look at that. Nice and easy. Crouching guard. Guard Crush. I'll be honest, I don't know what it is. I really don't know. We can probably find out real soon. Real quick. Oh, look at that. Magic. How will we ever reference this? Oh, shit. Controller's all tangled up. Okay. Action. Hold, guard 1. Do that. Start. Average. Terry. We beat Terry and we'll beat Iori up. See what he does. They have an error guard break 2 sprite, but I'll be honest, I couldn't tell what it was. That's funny, it just holds back. It doesn't just guard, it holds back. Oh, is he not? Why was I able to trip him? Or is he... Oh, he doesn't do low attacks, okay. Oh, it's that! Oh, that's kind of lame, actually. That's actually kind of lame. What the hell is his air guard break then? I mean, not that we use it because we don't have air guard, but this game does. Match and Millennium does for some of the grooves or isms or whatever you want to say. Yeah, huh? Weird. Alright, I mean, it works. It's kind of a cheap reuse, but it works. Not happy about it, but it is what it is. Let's see, we used it in this animation somewhere. Here it is. And Iori is sprite use the character, or sprite reuse the character. Okay, hurt standing. Pretty sure it's going to be... Actually, it might be this. Ew. Really? Hold on, let's confirm that. So, hurt low is this one. It's not this one. I think that's hurt overhead. Hurt low is probably used by something else. It's this one. I guarantee that this is hurt standing. Oh shit, we're already out of time. Let's add. I added one more song to the list to pad it out. We'll do a couple of these and I guess we'll have to pack it up for today. It's been a shitty day. Yeah, hold. So, yeah, I'll be cute, that's fine. Okay, from the air, yeah, that's definitely the air overhead as I figured. Yeah, that's the standing hurt. It's a bit exaggerated, but that's what it is. We might have to adjust a few of these if it doesn't look quite right. They have really, really exaggerated hurt animations, especially the older characters, the ones that they sprited first. It's a little goofy sometimes. It's a little goofy. Not necessarily that it looks bad as you know, a single sprite, but the movement being so jarring, it looks a little strange for like hit detection. Hurt crouching. That one's this one. Hurt knockdown. Knockdown is typically, I think, the standing hurt frame. Look at reuse. It's pretty consistent for all characters. Oh, too far. Knockdown. Okay, so hurt standing. The flying back one, which is this. So this is tripping, by the way. When I mean knockdown, I mean tripping. Yeah, and then he falls to the ground. So this is a reused frame. We'll have to mark that accordingly. Then standing up, we'll start with this. I'm going to take a guess that it is... Yeah, that's what I figured. We may have used it for the... Oop, not that one. We may have used it. What's this one? It's our timeline. Okay, we can get rid of that. I can always make that again. I think we reused it for either his sweep. Yeah, it's this one here. Hey! Fisher Arts. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the follow. Okay, and then he gets up like this. It's either that one or the other frame. One of them they use for knockdown, one they use just for other stuff. I don't know, this one actually looks more like he's standing up. It's hard to say. Let's take a look. Okay, he's got his hand on his knee. So, yeah, it's this one. Oh, I had a feeling. Okay. And then he does what? You just go from that to idle? I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, looks like there's something in between. Oh, he died. He died because no pain is off. That's funny. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Oh, no, fine. It's that one. Okay, it's crouching. Okay. I figured. Okay, and that's it. So I'll finish this one up and we're done. That's the last track in the playlist. I copied it. It used to be the first track. Okay, every one of these is a reused frame. Who's hyped for KOF 15? It's coming. It's coming. I think we're gonna get a trailer at Evil Japan. I can feel the energy. I know it's building. I think we're gonna get one at Evil Japan. When is that now? It's not far, isn't it? Like January? Or something like it. Isn't it in the winter? January. January 24th, 2020. Get hype. I swear to God, they're gonna have one. They're gonna have a trailer. Quote me on it. Timestamp it, clip it. They're gonna have to. Just give us KOF 13 Rollback Edition. I hope they do Rollback, but I have a feeling that they're just gonna be like, ah, fuck that. But good news, Guilty Gear. Daisuke's like, hey, we looked in the rollback in GGPO and it looks awesome. It looks legit. So let's do it. Oops. Start the track over. Ran out of time. Fuck it, put it on repeat. It's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, Daisuke's like, dude, GGPO looks legit. We're gonna see if we can put it in. And I'm like, holy shit. That'd be great. I'll allow it. Yeah, I know. So hey, there's hope, man. KK, man, KK's. Hold on. Can I get on Twitter from here? Or is it gonna make me log in? Hey, I'm here. KK at SNK. It didn't type it. Of course it didn't. Twitter. Oh! I have to edit that out. God damn it, Twitter. This is what I get for looking shit up on fucking stream. Jesus Christ. Kaiser Wave. Here we are. Jesus Christ, Twitter. This guy. God damn it. Now Winamp's going fucking bananas. God damn it, Twitter. What a piece of shit. Alright, Kaiser, this guy is community manager for SNK. And so he's putting in the word. He's like, look, the Americans want GGPO. This is why the Americans want GGPO. Their internet's garbage. Just throw them a bone, alright? Just throw them a bone. So, last I read about Daisuke and GGPO is we're not sure if it suits GG. They did say that. They're not sure if it suits Guilty Gear, but he did come back. I saw a post later, unless it was Photoshop. God, I hope it's not. Where he's like, oh yeah, we looked into it and it's legit. It's pretty sweet, so we're gonna try it. But I did see that first. They're kind of like, we don't know if it's gonna work. Yeah, maybe it won't work with Guilty Gear. And I think they didn't quite understand what it was when they made that statement. Because it's like, no, there's no reason it would ever not work. It's a fighting game. As long as your game's deterministic, you're fine. And it should already be anyway, because even delay bait netcode, it will desync if it's not deterministic. So you do have those problems already. So it's just a matter of them putting in the save state kind of system, and replay functionality already something they're familiar with. So that's how it goes. So that was a quick turnaround that I saw. He came back and he was like, oh yeah, we looked into it. It's good. We're all good. So hopefully they can make it work right, and it'll be really good if they can do it. And then maybe other companies will follow suit. So again, KK here, Kaiser Wave, Crispy Kaiser, at on Twitter. He's community manager for SNK. For all you English speakers, he's the English mouthpiece. So you go bug him and say, tell him we want GGPO. I mean, he already knows. He's already explained it to him from what I understand, and why we need it, because America's internet sucks. And it's just, even with good internet, rollback netcode is still better than delay-based. So there's no reason not to. So they know. As far as I'm aware, they know that we want it. It's up to them to put it in. I guarantee that they're at least thinking about it. Yeah, those gaijins. Those goddamn gaijins always asking for this fucking rollback shit. What the fuck is that? Why don't you get your 1,000 down, 1,000 up internet? Then you won't have a problem, you goddamn scrubs. Jesus, America, get your shit together. Oh my god. Or even like, cross country playing. It improves the distance at which you can play at as well. So that even if you have good internet, this distance is still a problem. So yeah, there you go. That's that. But yeah, anyway, so SNK is aware of the problem. I guarantee they've looked into it because of all the pressure that's going into it, and KK's the insider, and he's whispered in their ear All the community wants and needs. So I'm optimistic. I've got hope that they'll be like, yeah, you know what? All right, fine. That sounds like something good. And if it delays King of Fighters 15 for another 6 months to implement, fuck it. I don't care. Just do it. Just do it. Will they go back and give other games the same treatment? Probably not. If you don't build the game with the idea of having GGPO, then going back and adding it could be a literal fucking nightmare. You might have to literally reprogram the foundation of the game to get it to work. And they'll look at that and they'll be like, oh, we could spend a year and a half doing that. Or we can make a new game. So, you know, sorry, King of Fighters 13, you are forever delay based. That's just how it goes. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm happy that developers are picking up the idea overseas. So there's a lot of resistance to that. And Maximilian Dude has a nice video that explains why that is. So I'm not going to bother repeating that. But you know Max. You can look up Max and figure out what video it is. I think it's... I don't know. I'll link it in the Discord after chat. Or after stream's over. So, anyway. So this is... We've moved 4 times after. So I gotta get out of here. I am out of time. Literally out of time. So, thanks everybody for showing up. We're going to have more Pocket Fighter EX streams as we go on. I'm hoping that we don't have to change out Mondays, but we might just start at a later time going forward. I have to change something though, otherwise it's going to be an inconsistent schedule and I don't want to do that. So we'll see. 7:30 might work. It didn't work today though, which was not good. So we'll see. Maybe we'll do 8 to 9:30. We'll see. If you have input, you want to tell me what hours you think the show should be, hit me up on Twitter, throw it into Discord, links down below, it'll be in chat here, if the bot's not crashed. There, the bot's working. There you go, there's the link for the Discord in the chat, and if you're on YouTube, it's down below. And if you're a kid on YouTube, get the hell off my channel. I told you at the beginning, why are you still here? Stop making me get fined. Because that shit's gonna hit in a month. Oh, YouTube's in a pickle now. They're not doing too good. We'll see how that all shakes out. Maybe it'll be game dev. It'll be BitChute / game dev scrubs. I have to migrate to BitChute so I don't get sued out of existence. That's great. Oh, what a shit show. All right, so we are patron funded. We have super generous, very lovely people that support me and the stream and the things that I do, so I'm very grateful to them. We got Zombie Killer, we got Miguel Tabasco, we've got AJ, Corporal Chungus, Mike Cruz, Taryn Williams, Bryce Nagalinum. You are the generals of the Scrub Army, the tippy top, our top patrons, so thank you very much. We've got code samples, we got early builds of the games. Actually, one went up this weekend for Pocket Fighter for the rollback testing. You can screw around with that, however amusing that might be. And that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys at least next Monday. If we can, we're going to try to do something on Thursday. Didn't work out last week. We'll see. That's for the other platforming project. On Saturday, I want to continue Star Tropics. We'll see if that can happen. You can follow on of course, the Discord and all that, and we'll keep you guys up to date. So that's it. Scrub out. Have a good one. I'll see you guys next time.